Hey gang, welcome to Mzansi and USA News. Today I would like to talk about Floyd Shivambu, the Secretary General of MK Party. Now, I would obviously like to contrast some of his assertions in MK and his assertions whilst he was in the EFF. Now, I'm not going to give you a long list, just to burst the bubble of those who believe the lies that Floyd tells with his mouth and they take him seriously. I want to start from the time he was in the EFF, where he said they would potentially win the 2024 elections. If not, they will become the second biggest party in the country. Let's start there. And then we'll go to the nonsense he's now regurgitating that MK will win in 2029. You will see the point where I'm going with this if you stay with me. And there is a wisdom in doing so. Listen to this.
Of the manifesto of the EFF. But before we get there, you made comments recently that you're noticing that people are slowly converting towards the EFF. In other words, you're finding more and more support for the EFF as you campaign on the ground. In fact, you've gone as far as saying, post these elections, you may actually become number one or the second largest party. I want to understand whether indeed those were your comments.
Yes, of course. Look, the EFF, like let me tell you something which is a reality and which we can prove in less than 20 days, is that if the EFF doesn't get an outright majority in these elections, we're going to be the second best political party in terms of the electoral support in South Africa. So we have experienced the necessary quantitative growth, and of course accompanied by qualitative growth as an organization.
So,
and we know
wait,
this.
Mr. Shivambu.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I need to get clarity.
Yes.
In these elections,
yes,
if you are not the largest party, in other words, the ANC is that party right now.
Yes.
If you are not in that spot of number one,
yes,
you're possibly going to occupy that which is occupied by the DA right now. You'll be the second largest political party.
That is exactly what is going to happen. And we must just look into the journey of how we got there. Remember, in our first participation in election, in 2014, we were bigger than the Democratic Alliance in two provinces of Northwest and Limpopo. And then in 2019, we then got to be bigger than the Democratic Alliance in Mpumalanga as well, then making it the three provinces. And we can tell you now, without any fear of contradiction, that the EFF will be decidedly bigger than the Democratic Alliance in Gauteng province, in KwaZulu-Natal, in the Eastern Cape, of course in the other remaining provinces that they might still get some numerical majority, but not a decisive majority in the Western Cape. But in majority of provinces, we're definitely going to overtake the Democratic Alliance, because we know what we have on the ground now and what we did not have in both 2019 and 2014. So now we've got proper solid structures in all the 23,000 voting districts of South Africa were properly represented. And we know that for you to secure an electoral majority, you need to be present in all corners of South Africa. And the EFF is properly and ably represented in all corners of South Africa. So one thing which you must know is that the EFF will either be number one or number two in South Africa. That is a reality which you are looking forward to.
So I just want to remind you then, it's not the 2014 election I'm going to use, nor is it the 2019.
Yes.
Those were general elections, which is what we are going to now.
Yes.
2021 local elections. I don't know if you still remember how the EFF said at that time that it was and would take over some of the municipalities in South Africa. And this would not be through a coalition. This was going to be an outright win. That did not happen. So I'm wondering,
so I think,
here, how realistic your predictions are this time around versus what we heard and saw subsequently post the 2021 election.
So you see, the other measure to gauge the EFF's success in 2021 One is the fact that in 2016, when we participated in our first local government elections, we had 750 councillors across South Africa. We now have got 1,200 councillors and represented in 95% of municipalities. You cannot finish both hands counting the municipalities which were not represented in South Africa of all the 257 municipalities in South Africa. You can count 2 in KwaZulu-Natal and 2 in the Eastern Cape and about 6 or 7 in the Western Cape. But in the rest of the municipalities, the EFF is firmly represented to demonstrate that we are solidly the only organization of the 3 national organizations which are represented in all provinces that has been showing consistent and dependable systemic growth. And that growth is not being arrested. And by the way, remember that we are still building the organization to have depth and proper representation in all the voting districts. And it's one of the issues that we must have to commend the ground forces of the economic freedom fighters on, that in less than 10 years we have got to achieve a national status, because it's only 3 political organizations in South Africa that are represented in all the provinces and are represented in even more than 80% of municipalities. So the EFF is, of course, a force to be reckoned with, and will demonstrate that much more firmly on the 29th of May, when a substantial majority of our people vote for the economic freedom fighters.
Yeah, we're fast running out of time. I've got...
Okay, so this is less than 6 months ago, guys. Right? This is less than 6 months ago. Now, of course, the 2024 elections came, and as the typical behavior of the anointed, Floyd does not take his words back. Listen to what he said when the election results came out, and then I'll show you what he is saying today.
President, Mr. Floyd Shivambu, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News, Mr. Shivambu. Looking at their numbers on the board, the EFF has now got over 1.3 million votes. Are you happy with what you're seeing?
No, look, we are satisfied with the numbers that we have been given as the EFF, and we welcome the support and the confidence which more than 1 million South Africans are demonstrating and showing practically to the economic freedom fighters. And we, of course, respect that outcome, because we spoke to as many people as possible, and more than 1 million have voted for the EFF, and we really appreciate that. And what is economic freedom fighters?
Now, I would want to show you, as a matter of fact, I want you to see where the DA is at. Whilst he's busy talking about 1 million votes, I want you to see where the DA is at. I'm going to pause it.
And we, of course, respect that outcome, because... There
you go. You see on your screen, here is the Democratic Alliance. 2.6 million votes. EFF, 1.1 million votes. Can you see that? Now, on the other side, there is an MK on your right. Here is MK. 1.5, right? This is, of course, towards the end of the elections. Notwithstanding, you can see the party that they were going to defeat the ANC, 5 million votes. Now, of course, you know the results of the elections in South Africa. The ANC was number 1, howbeit they had 40% of the vote, contrasting that with the 57% that they had received last time. It was a big failure for them. And then you had the DA getting just above 3.6 million votes. Then you had MK getting 2-point-something million votes. And then you have EFF getting 1-point-something million votes. So basically the EFF became number 4, right? And here he is being interviewed 2 weeks or so after the interview I just showed you. Please observe now, he is eating a humble pie, but he's not going to say that publicly. Why? Because that's what politicians do. They never acknowledge when they are wrong. Listen to this.
Spoke to as many people as possible, and more than 1 million have voted for the EFF, and we really appreciate that. And what is also giving us confidence is that 3 elections in a row now, we've always achieved more than 1 million votes, which shows that we are a serious political party. Well, amongst the 3 political organizations in South Africa, well, there's the 4th one now with MK, which are achieving above 1 million votes. So we're quite satisfied with the number of people that have voted for us. And of course, we want to convey our most sincere gratitude and thankfulness to the more than million South Africans who have voted for us, to the membership of the EFF, the ground forces, the commissars, and all the people that got to pledge support to the economic freedom fighters. So we really appreciate the progress that we've made thus far.
But can you really say that you're satisfied? You look at the growth of the EFF. I mean, the last elections, you got 10.8% of the votes. You look at KZN, you were the best performing party in 2019 in KZN. I think you got over 500,000 of the votes, both nationally and provincially in 2019. But you look at what you're doing right now, just for now, it seems as if the MK party is surpassing you as the third largest political party, or as the third largest party that actually got most of the votes, for now.
You know, the tectonic shifts that got to occur in KwaZulu-Natal are, of course, different. They need a different analysis. And they define all political parties. The ANC has suffered the biggest loss in KwaZulu-Natal, possibly more than 40% of the vote that they had in 2019. The IFP is suffering the same fate as well. There was no way that when there are tectonic shifts politically in KwaZulu-Natal that the EFF was going to be spared from that. But what is inspiring is that despite a huge contribution from KwaZulu-Natal, which was our second biggest contributor of votes in 2019, the EFF is still comfortably above 1 million votes, which shows and demonstrates that we are not a regional political party, that even if there are shifts in one corner of South Africa, we still remain solid as an organization. That is commendable. So let's say it was just a regional.
So you see, Floyd has a gift of gab. And this is why, whilst most of you have had to go to school and get a job or start a small medium enterprise, Floyd, he had no such a thing to do. All he needed to do was to use his gift of gab to make you believe that during the democratic dispensation, you were oppressed. You literally needed to be economically freed. Let me show you something. This is what Floyd and Julius do behind the scenes. You see what that thing says there? 11 years, still no land. These idiots believe our lies, and we are rich. Now, of course, you may be very angry with me. The reality is they are much richer than you. Now, some of you may be the same age as myself, meaning you have worked all your life, right? And have amassed a reasonable amount of wealth to be able to send your kids to decent schools, to decent universities and all that. These boys have done no such a thing. All they did was to live through your tax and my tax. And the youth is aspiring to be like them. Do you understand why South Africa's economy is not going to grow? Right now, Floyd has decided to associate himself with a gentleman who, by the way, for all practical purposes, is a criminal, right? Now, of course, I'm not absolving Floyd of any criminal activity. We already know the story of VBS, right? But he has not been proven in any court of law to be a criminal or otherwise. So I'm not going to delve into that. The point I'm trying to make, the same thing you see on your screen, 11 years, still no land. There was never an intention to give you any land. If you don't have a title deed of the land where you stay, that's on you. If you didn't go to school, get educated, a proper, decent education, start a small medium enterprise on your own, work your butt off, right? And earn a decent living for you to drive whatever you want to drive and stay wherever you want to stay. All you do is to talk about economic freedom in our lifetime. You are going to stay exactly where you stay, whilst Floyd and Julius will keep changing political parties and reunite again, because I've done a video on this platform telling you the deception that they have embarked on with this MK journey. I have not heard anybody else saying that in the public domain. Well, the day it happens, you'll come back to this channel and you would say, I had told you the truth all along. The MK story with Floyd is nothing but shenanigans that are meant to destroy MK from within, because clearly they've identified MK as their nemesis. Nevertheless, that's not the purpose of this video. I want you now to hear what Floyd is saying concerning MK. Remember, I stopped the other video because I said Floyd has a gift of gab, right? These individuals are gifted in speech, and many individuals who are their supporters always associate or confuse the gift of gab with intelligence. Far from it. Elon Musk is a genius, right? You see by the ability and what he has practically done in the public domain. When you talk about people who are smart and intelligent, you're talking about entrepreneurs, people who start nothing like the Maponyas, who start nothing from the ground and create employment in critical mass. You don't talk about people who are parasitic, who are parasites, who literally banguva taxpayers, form an organization that will have a critical mass, paying them on a monthly basis a stable amount. This is the EFF concept is no different from the useless unions that many people are joining that have never done anything meaningful for you, right? Nevertheless, I'm not talking about unions today. I'm talking about Floyd and Julius' strategy to ensure they line up their pockets. Was you, by the way, Jacob Zuma has joined the same thing, right? Because Jacob Zuma saw that, okay, my fountain of water, that is the reservoir, has been closed by the ANC. They are very close to closing it. They may actually send me to jail, even though Ramaphosa pardoned him. They may get rid of him. Then he decided, okay, you know what? For me to have another stream of income, let me go and form a political party. There's a lot of simpletons in South Africa who would believe that I'm fighting for their rights, even though I never did anything meaningful for them when I was a president. Instead, I stole from their purse. They will still believe the same nonsense, and then they will run and go and vote for me, right? Of course. I mean, if you form a political party, just Mashaba did that recently. Now, one could argue and say he didn't need the money. Musimai is in parliament. He formed a political party. Now, you may not take that seriously, but if you really pay attention to it, he formed a political party, and now, because of that, he's sitting in parliament earning 100,000 rands a month. Think about what I'm telling you. It's the same with Songe Zuzebi, okay? So none of these guys have a vested interest in doing anything meaningful for you, right? All what they are doing, just like Olomisa. How many years has Olomisa been in parliament? That's a PTY LTD. And you keep on saying, oh, Unjangele is fighting for us. Really? Really? South Africa's problems will not be resolved by political parties. They will be the biggest economy in the world. I'm not talking about the second biggest. The biggest economy in the world is America. And what is America known for? Small, medium enterprise. That's what it is known for. Small, medium enterprise. You can think about your McDonald's, your KFC, your Starbucks, you name it, it's from America, right? That's what America is known for. So when you're talking about a group of individuals who have gone to school, who are coming out of school and starting businesses, who have got skills, whether be it artisanship and all that, that's what will change the life of the youth in South Africa. That's what will change the economy of South Africa. The economy of South Africa is not going to be changed by youth becoming political ideologues. But these individuals know that, right? Remember, the EFF bug was created by Jacob Zuma when he took office from President Mbeki. Instead of growing the economy, he started talking about apartheid, as though apartheid was something that was alive, right? And what did that do? That led to the gap that you saw with the formation of the EFF. And the EFF, what did the EFF do? Thomas Sowell in America calls them race hustlers. What do they do? What do race hustlers do? They agitate people based on their skin color and tell you everything. I mean, it's just like me. I'm driving my car on the road, and here is a white person jumping a red robot, and he gets into my car. Boom. Now, am I supposed to believe that that person hit my car because I was black and he was white? Or am I supposed to believe that that person hit my car because he practiced lawlessness? Well, you choose Mike Kettle. If you are in EFF mentality, you are going to believe that person jumped the red robot because they wanted to hit a black person's car. Are you following me? So this depend. That's the heavenlies, by the way. That's thundering outside. Now, this depends on the meaning you as an individual are willing to attach to the situation. You can simply see it for what it is. This was nothing but lawlessness. It has nothing to do with race. Are you following me? This is nothing but crime. It's got nothing to do with race. It's up to you to attach a meaning to it, but you are not benefiting. Remember, you are not benefiting by EFF existing. The people who are making money, who are wearing shoes that are worth 28,000 rands now. And by the way, I don't envy them. Before you come here and you write nonsensical comments like those, I don't envy them. Right? In any case, let me show you what Floyd believes today, or what he says with his mouth today. And he wants you to believe the same. And I can see on the notes, on the comments, and I'll show you the comments. Check this out.
I know. I
I
want to assist you now that I'm not in the process of recruiting leaders of other political parties, but if they come, we're going to welcome them firmly and encourage them to participate much more meaningfully in the politics of Mkhonto Wesizwe. I'm not in the people that we are recruiting is the voters out there. Yeah. Is the people who are going to give Mkhonto Wesizwe 2/3 majority in the 2029 general elections. Those are the people that we are persuading. And if leaders of different political parties want to play.
Did you guys hear that? Apparently, guys, this is very sad. I'm laughing because there are idiots who believe this. Apparently, Mkhonto Wesizwe is going to get 2/3 majority in 2029. This is the same guy that said the EFF would be a ruling party in 2024. And believe you me, he will have an answer in 2029 elections when Mkhonto Wesizwe has been obliterated into smithereens. Okay? He will have an answer why that is the case. What would have happened to his bank balance? There would have been an astronomical growth to his bank balance all the way without having ever once worked in his entire life. No, this is sad. These are the individuals that are inspiring youth to be useless, to be politicians, to speak higher grade English, to which they know nothing about. And it's easy to prove, but I'm not going to do that. It's not necessary. For example, if you listen to this video from beginning to end, you'll hear that his application of cognitive dissonance is out of place. It's not properly utilized by himself. Floyd is very eloquent in speech. He's got 2 master's degrees, but sometimes he goes overboard. Nevertheless, I have no intentions of criticizing him personally like that. The intention here is to point out that these individuals are not people that you should trust or trust your life into. Go to school. Do not have any children outside wedlock. Pay attention until you at least get your first degree or your whatever it is that you do, but study. And you know what? Pay attention to your mathematics, to your physical science. Get yourself a decent degree that will lead to you getting employment if you want employment. If you want to study electrical engineer to be an electrician, or do consulting, start your own small medium enterprise, or if you want to be an accountant, a chartered accountant, or you want to be a lawyer, you can open up your own practice like the gentleman, the young man who's a minister, was in the youth league of the ANC, whom I have time and respect for, who's now a minister still. I have a time and respect for because of the fact that he knows what it is to start something out of nothing and to hustle. These guys don't know how to hustle. This is not hustling. This is nothing but a pyramid scheme, good people. No one is benefiting anything meaningful because the EFF claims to be fighting for the poor. If I were to make that claim and I were to show you my house, you would think I'm laughing at the poor. Are you following me? Now, Julius's house is much bigger than mine, okay? And he stays in the same street as the president, and he's fighting for the poor. Now, of course, some of you will say, no, this is narrow politics. You are being petty. Okay, if you want to believe that lie. All I'm simply saying to you, go to school, pay attention to your schooling. Stop toying for nonsense. Because you're going to end up being a dropout, and then you want to go to parliament and you depend on these individuals. You start becoming a prostitute, and you prostitute your values and principles because you have nothing to offer. You have nothing at your disposal that you can say, okay, whether they like it or not, I'm going to build my business, or this is what I'm going to do for my own survival. Okay? I'm simply laying it down for you. You have been had. You have been bamboozled. You have been duped. You will wait until your death. Your children will bury you, if you've got any, without seeing any economic freedom. We don't need a Julius Malema to fight for our economic freedom. That is why we are enjoying our lives. And yes, we have been economically free. Economic freedom comes to those who are participating in the economy to generate wealth for themselves and create generational wealth for their children. This is not going to happen to you. It's happening with Floyd, however, and Julius. And they are using you as an individual to attain that. Think about what I've just said in this video. I've already shown you what he's saying. Right now, he wants you to believe he has gone to a new vehicle called the MK. Now, here is the reality about the MK that many people do not understand. MK will always be bigger than EFF. Why? For as long as Zuma convinces to the king, the Zulu vote. Why? Zulus are the majority in our country. There's more than 10.8 million of them. Second to that is the Xhosas in the Eastern Cape. If they manage to convince these two individuals, these two groupings, I know they are set for life. If they manage to convince this, they don't need you. You believe they do? No, they don't. And Floyd knows that. Umsholozi just went to one group and he suddenly defeated EFF. Think about what I'm saying. Now, you may not like it. It's fine. I'm not in a popularity contest. You've never met me. You don't know me personally. But think about the ideas that I'm putting on the table. So that you go back to school and finish your degree and pay attention. Stop trying to be a politician. When are you going to graduate? You are speaking big English. You know nothing about economy. You're trying to tell us, who have worked for more than 25 years, who have attained, achieved a lot of things that we wanted to achieve, and you are coming trying to tell us how to run an economy. What do you know about an economy? Nothing. You know what Frantz Fanon, like Floyd. Floyd has never worked anywhere, unless you call what he's doing here work, right? That is why Fidel Castro, who is Floyd as role model, destroyed Cuban's economy. That is why people like me, and I don't have to canvass, will never vote for any political party that is run by Floyd Shivambu. Why? They know he will destroy the economy. Good people, you may talk about neoliberals, bourgeoisie, and petty bourgeoisie. I was once like that. I was once speaking their language. That language will not feed you. It will not feed your children. Okay? Instead, you will always be having, someone is keeping you down. Who's keeping you down? Have you paid attention to Julius's lingo? Julius convinced you, whilst a black government is in power, that you are being oppressed by a white monopoly capital. And you believe it. Really? Wow. Okay, guys, let me love you and leave you. But think about the things that I've told you here. These young men are doing absolutely nothing but self-indulgence. The only beneficiaries from this organization. Do you know why MK was formed? Let me show it to you.
The purpose was to set up this political party.
Also, they must canvass and mobilize President Zuma when he gets back. that he becomes part and parcel of this process.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you recall what the purpose was to set up this political party? I don't know whether the name had been decided at the time, speaking about now 2 years back before the ANC's elective conference, but do you recall what the purpose of this party was?
Okay, the purpose of MK Party was that look at the democratic processes within the ANC, okay, have been hamstrung. All right, they are no longer doing what they are supposed to be doing, which is protecting each and every member. If you are an ordinary member, you don't have much of a say anymore, practically. What we need to do, we need to now create, an alternative political party that will go back to the people and talk to the people. Since the ANC has also detached, from the masses itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Did you guys hear that and understand it? The MK was formed because certain individuals within the ANC were being ill-treated and were about to be fired. And they then decided that that was not a democratic process. Hence, he calls it that the democratic processes within the ANC were hamstrung. So the formation of an alternative parallel structure was literally meant to protect the individuals that were subject of disciplinary. Now, those of you who are old enough, you will recall what happened when Jacob Zuma was fired by Thabo Mbeki as deputy president of the country. He created a parallel structure in what was known as the ANC Youth League, supported by Zoli Nzimavavi and Blade Nzimande within the ANC, because Mbeki made an error of not dismissing him as a deputy president of the ANC. He dismissed him as a deputy president of the country, which was a big error because politically Zuma mass mobilized the Floyd Shivambus and the Julius Malemas in the Youth League, together with the COSATU, led by Vavi as a Secretary General, and Blade Nzimande of the SACP. That's how they toppled Mbeki in Limpopo, if you remember. Is it Limpopo? No, it was in Polokwane. That's the same province, as a matter of fact. So, was it in Polokwane or was it in Limpopo? I can't remember, but I think it's a Polokwane conference. Yeah, it's a Polokwane conference. I just needed to give you the exact place. It's a Polokwane conference, which was held in 2007. So if you remember what happened there, this behavior right now is no different in terms of creating a parallel structure for the purposes of protecting certain individuals, members of the ANC, not you. If you're not a member of the ANC, MK is not meant to protect you. So why must they be protected? They must be protected so that they don't go outside, because it's cold outside the ANC, right? So that their hand remains in the cookie jar and they remain beneficiaries of what? Of your tax and mine. Their intention is not to serve you, but is to rather loot, nothing else. Think about what I'm sharing with you. There is no municipality that the EFF has taken over and that the municipality was better off after the EFF took over. That does not exist. That is why, for an example, when MK takes over any municipality, you are going to see the same thing. They are going to be stealing and looting that municipality. These people have no agenda to create anything. Look at the infrastructure of South Africa that is debilitating at the hands of the ANC. That was under Jacob Zuma for 9 years, and it's now under the current president, Ramaphosa. Can you see that? These individuals are in this game for one thing and one thing only, to line up their pockets. And you are not in their pockets. You are not a beneficiary. That is why I'm saying you need to wake up to their lies. Nevertheless, now you understand why MK was formed. And that's why Floyd is there. Floyd is there because he understands that all those who are persecuted in their political parties, MK is the right place for them to be protected. Okay, guys, let me love you and leave you. Ciao, ciao, till the next video. You can comment down below. Of course, I'm not going to delete your comments, save that YouTube does delete comments that are nonsensical, particularly where people use vulgar and insult. Okay, bye for now.